Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this optic that you see right here on my 6.5 Creedmoor build. This is a 22-inch 6.5 Creedmoor, and you've also seen it on my Bergara 308 rifle, and that sort of is an important point because I think it plays into the way that this scope was designed. This is the Leupold Mark 5, 3.6 to 18, so it is a 5 times magnification scope, which I know a lot of people do like out there. And the reason I said that it's kind of sort of how this optic was designed is that this optic was designed to be sort of the ultimate DMR or SPR type of optic. Now, it's perfectly at home on a bolt gun. As you can see, one thing that's interesting about it is when you crank the max magnification, it kind of sticks up off the side there, and that's to allow the bolt to come up on a bolt rifle so that way you're not going to bang your thumb on it or hit your bolt on it. So it definitely has the applications and capability to perform rather on a bolt gun, but I think, in my opinion, due to the size of it, which you guys can see here on your screen, and the weight of it, which is 26 ounces, and magnification range, it's really going to do well on, you know, AR type rifles, especially now that they're coming in 6.5. The 308s are a lot more common. You're going to see a lot of 6.5 Grendels out there. Those types of AR chamberings that are able to reach out and touch something at a longer distance. I think optics like this in this weight range and this size really do fit that bill quite well. So enough of my rambling about it. Let's get into the details. Starting out here on the back, we have the fast focus eyepiece, and you guys can see there's a ton of adjustment there. So that way you can get the reticle nice and clear for you and how your vision is, because everybody's vision is different. So you can set up for you and just kind of leave it there. The power selector ring here is nice and smooth, as you guys can see, and it's short in terms of the actual amount of travel to it. So I like that because it's quick, right? So right now, as you guys can see, we're at 3.6, and just basically just with your thumb pushing it over, move it all the way up to 18 power, and it's really only turning less than a half of a rotation. So I do like that. Of course, the scope is first focal plane, so your reticle is going to stay the same in terms of the ability to measure targets, holdovers, all that stuff at distance, regardless of the magnification power, which is nice. I know a lot of folks like that, but it's really a very nice, smooth power ring, and it also has the integral little peg sticking off there, which is going to give you a good grip on it. And obviously, like we said, with the bolt throw, you're not going to have to worry about bumping your hand on it. If it came all the way out, say over here to the 9 o'clock position, it stops short of that for that very reason. So in terms of design, I think they definitely got some stuff right there. The scope comes with Leupold's M5C3 elevation dial, so it's going to give you 10 mils of elevation per rotation, and it's going to give you some feedback from the shooter's perspective as to where you're at, which I do like. It locks at 0, of course, the 0 stop there, and you have the ability to underdial if you want to by just pressing in this little button here, and you can go down 5 mils past that if you guys want to do some close-up shooting or something, say you have 100 yard 0, or if you need to use that to compensate with the offset for like night vision that you might have, or some thermals if that scenario happens. Once we're in our 0 position, you'll note this piece here is sticking out of the turret. When we go up 10, you'll see it goes in. Now at that point, you have a visual and tactile indication that, of course, we're 10 mils up, and we're on our second set of numbers as you look at it from the shooter's perspective, which is nice because you can easily see it just by kind of peeping over the rear lens. Now, as we go up another 10, you will see that the button will actually recess in as soon as we get past it there, and there we go. And this piece here will actually stick up on top. So you have, again, visual and tactile indications that we're moving again beyond 20, so that is good all the way around there. Everything's pretty solid in terms of clicks. You guys can probably see very firm tactile and audible adjustments all the way throughout, and you'll see we stop at 0. The windage dial also gives you a lot of feedback from the shooter's perspective. So if you're back here behind the rifle looking down, the little hash mark there is right about at the 11 o'clock position. And what that's going to do is allow you, again, just to look past the optic and your mount and actually be able to see where you're at in terms of windage. It may look a little funny at first. However, it's very easy to see, which again is why they designed it that way. This one here gives you 23 mils of adjustment for windage. And what you can also see is that they have the 1R, the 1L, 3R, 3L, etc. across. What that's doing, again, from the shooter's perspective, is it's allowing you to see where you're at in terms of windage very quickly, very easily, and also gives you the indication of which way to move. I know it sounds simple, but under stress, and if you use a lot of different optics, it can become confusing. It does come capped, but you can run it as you see here without the cap. It's sort of just a shooter's preference at that point. It gives you both options. Not sure how much is getting picked up by the mic, but these geese are going crazy out here. Anyway, on the left side of the Optic here, we have the illumination on the outside. So if you get a model that is illuminated, again, they give you the option. It's going to have a couple night vision settings, and one thing I like about it is that not only are the adjustments very crisp and tactile, they have an in-between position between them, which I do like for sure. I like having that in-between position because you don't have to start from zero and get to the illumination number that you want. You can set it for the conditions that you expect to be shooting in, put it right in between, so that way you only have to bump it one click and your illumination is on. I do like that for sure. The parallax adjustment here is on the side, very smooth as you'd expect. I think it goes from 75 all the way out to infinity, so it gives you the ability to make sure that your parallax is where it needs to be for the distance you're shooting at. I know a lot of scopes out there will just have the preset at 100 and leave it, but this gives you the ability to dial it in correctly, which is nice when you're trying to get out there at some distance and really make sure that everything's where it needs to be and that you're going to get that first round hit. So you want it in the right position for the distance you're shooting at. We're losing light relatively quickly here. The camera's making it look brighter than it is, which I certainly appreciate the technology doing. But we're going to cover reticles and then try to close it out. So this one here has the TMR reticle. Again, the first focal plane scope, so at any point in the magnification range, the reticle subtensions are going to be scaled to your target, which is good. The TMR is going to give you a little bit more feedback rather from a shooter's perspective versus say like a basic mil dot would, but it's not going to be as good in terms of feedback, in my opinion anyway, as some of the other reticles, which we're about to discuss as well. So sort of pros and cons, and it's also a cost factor, right? Some of the other reticles are going to cost a little bit more in this particular optic here. So they also offer the H59, which is a proven reticle. They also offer the Trimmer 3, another proven reticle. Those are generally going to be good in terms of the fact that they work with just about any caliber out there. You just set it for the rifle you have, get your dope chart worked up, and those will all work really well, and they're going to give you some fine subtensions that you're just not going to get with the TMR reticle. Now, they also offer this with their CCH reticle, and that's sort of a hybrid combat and competition type of reticle. It gives you the small increments and the very precise holdovers that you'd get with, say, like an H59, but also gives you some sort of combat-oriented features like mover holds and stuff like that that you might need in a more dynamic environment. So those are all offered in this scope. I believe they're also offered in the 5x25 version of this. In terms of cost, basically you're going to look at street price anywhere between, say, $1,900 on a good day, all the way up to like $2,700, depending on where you look, what features you want, and all of those sorts of factors. You get the HD glass here, a 35mm tube, and it's very clear. It has very good crisp controls. It's just a very solid optic, particularly for the weight of only 26 ounces. So all in all, it's a very good optic for the money. And I think it does kind of give you some capabilities, again, with the size and weight factor that a lot of scopes out there on the market aren't doing right now. A lot of them that are going to give you this capability are either going to be larger, heavier, more expensive, etc. So it's kind of a good sweet spot for a relatively high-end scope, but not as high-end as some of the ones out there that are going to run you $5,000, $6,000 to get similar types of capabilities. If you guys have any questions about the scope that I didn't cover in the video, by all means, post down below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed and you like what you saw, please go ahead and do so. And I hope to see all of you in the next video.